Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Selim I. During the same year, Selim I conquered Great Syria without any resistance because the Syrians hated the Mamluks at the time on the hand and they are afraid of the Ottomans on the other hand. After the death of Selim, his son Suleiman took over the role 1522 to 1566 and he was nicknamed as the legist or the legal expert or the legal scholar due to the multiplicity of laws he had issued in order to organize the affairs of the state. During the time of Suleiman, the Ottoman Empire unequally flourished and expanded as it extended to include 3 continents. Also, it inherited the Abbasid Caliphate and the Byzantine Empire, so Istanbul became a center of the Islamic world and the Islamic civilization was represented. But after the discovery of America and the Cape of Green Hope, as well as the threshold of European Renaissance, the center of power started to shift to the west. Zaher Al-Omar Al-Jidani, he was born in the last decade of the 17th century. Following the death of his father, he assumed responsibility in the 2 villages called Arvan and Al-Damun in Palestine. He then started to extend his influence through holding alliance with Bedouin tribes. On the other hand, he was involved in border conflicts where he worked on reinforcing his army and fortifying areas under his rule, taking advantage of the Turk occupation with their wars with the Renaissance. Thus he established a deterrent central force in Palestine, where he took over Hanifa, Jaffa, Alid and Nablus. After a short while of his rule, which was based with conflicts and skirmishes, his power grew weak and he fell under the siege of the Ottoman fleet. Then a great army marched against him, which inflicted on him a devastating blow. His rule ended with his death, and his sons were not qualified to assume the region of power after him. Thus the way was open to Ahmad al-Zaher Agha to seize power. Ahmad Pasha al-Zaher Aga Muhammad Nunes al-Zaher appeared on the sands of event in Iraq. He was a Mamluk of Bosnia Herzegovina. He assumed the government of Saida and Damascus intermittently between 1775 till his death in 1804. His rule was characterized by his hegemony over the local force in Palestine and Lebanon mountains. He defeated the Ottomans and annexied Damascus stayed to his influence. Napoleon Bonaparte expedition 1798 to 1808. The military expedition that Napoleon mounted against Egypt and Bilad al-Sham can be marked as the beginning of the European colonizations of the Arabic territories. Following the Industrial Revolution that Europe has witnessed, after receiving a victory over the Mamluks and his entering Cairo in June 1798, Napoleon Bonaparte headed a military expedition to Bilad al-Sham. The expedition did not go beyond Palestine and its coast except for Al-Nasiriyah and Tabriya, where it conquered the Ottoman army. The campaign began by occupying Katia in Sinai, then it proceeded to Arik's castle. After the phases of the 3 months, the expedition started to return back to Egypt after it suffered a defeat in Acre in May 1799. In 28 February 18, the French army headed by Kleber proceeded towards Asdod, then to villages of Vienna, Al-Ramallah and Jaffa. Moreover, they took over Haifa after a furious fight. They headed towards Acre, which was distinguished by the fortified gates and a strong fortress, which stood fast before their attacks. A fierce battle took place, where the people of Iraq, with the help of the English troops and some of the Ottoman troops, attacked the French army. Napoleon tried to break into the gates of Acre more than 7 times without succeeding, but soon the Black Death showed its game face, claiming the souls of the French army. In May 18, 00, Napoleon wrote to his administrative governors in Paris, informing them that occupying Acre was not worth all such losses. Thereupon, he decided to withdraw back to Egypt to continue his expedition there. During such time, a dispatch arrived from Paris, informing Napoleon that it was necessary to return to France. He returned in May 18. After a siege that lasted for 64 days. Muhammad Ali's campaign. After the withdrawal of Napoleon, Al-Zaher returned and imposed his hegemony over the countries, but he returned more despotic, where he overburdened the people with more taxes to recompense his losses in wars. But no sooner had he ascended the throne than he died in 1804. He was succeeded by his Mamluk Suleiman Pasha, who was named Al-Adil, the just one contrary to Al-Zaher. His rule contrasted with that of Muhammad Ali in Egypt and Mahmud II in Istanbul. The reign of Suleiman Pasha was characterized by stability and rebuilding of the country's infrastructure, till Ibrahim Pasha came in 1819 to 1831, who adopted the policy of Al-Zaher, which stripped the worth of local leaders who started many mountains. On the 1st of October 1831, Muhammad Ali mounted an army towards Palestine under leadership of his son Ibrahim Pasha, who occupied Gaza, Jaffa, Jerusalem and Galilee without any resistance, and after a 6-month siege Acre fell in his hand. He then headed towards Damascus, which he entered in 14th July 1832, where a battle took place nearby Homs between him and the Ottoman army that he defeated and took over Halab, Hamaha and Antakya. Following valiant battle in 30 June 1832, he developed deep inside Asia Minor, Anatolia, and defeated the Ottoman at the city of Konya in 21 December 1832, where he captured the Great Vizier. In the face of such victories, the European countries intervened for reconciliations, where a treaty was consulted between the conditions parties, known by Treaty of Kudaya, Treaty of May 1833, the virtue of which Sultan Mahmud II acknowledged the hereditary rule of Muhammad Ali over Egypt and Bilad al-Sham. Nevertheless, the Egyptian rule did not last for a long, only 9 years. For after the Egyptian withdrawal for the region of Bilad al-Sham, it returned back under the Ottoman sovereignty through the intervention of the European countries, on top of which was Britain. Such an act had increased the European leverage in the region, which was further deepened due to the general weakness that had befell the government. The reason behind the attempts of the European countries to interfere in the internal affairs of this region, and particularly in Bilad al-Sham, was due to their economic and strategic interest in the East. Moreover, they have found in the religious minorities and their civil rights a pretext for interfering in the internal affairs of the Ottoman rules. Moreover, the number of European consuls in the Sultanate increased, and their leverage expanded as their interference reached government administration, economic courts, and the subject affairs. The most prominent among them was the British consul Woods, who acted as an actual governors of the countries under the cloak of executing the regulations. In addition to this, the European countries proceeded to export social, religious, and national sects against the central government and stirring up disturbance against it in various areas. All this with the aim of weakening the government and sharing with its place of influence. On the other hand, the consuls of such countries adopted the issue of Christian minorities and extended their protection of the Jewish groups in Jerusalem and other places, in addition to securing residency to the early Jewish immigrants. Besides this, missionary movements witnessed a great increase, where they concerted their efforts in Jerusalem. By the end of the 19th century, the percent of missionaries compared to that of the inhabitants in Jerusalem was greater than any other countries around the world. And when it became evident that the Ottoman Empire was sunsetting, everyone hastened to secure a foothold in it to impose his dominion over a part of its land after its visions. We will explore now the periods that succeeded the Islamic rule of Palestine and the beginning of the influence of Zionists on these Arabic territories. Depending on our same resource, which is the Palestine National Information Center that is under Palestinian National Authority. The Palestinian Center refers to a large number of sources that document these states from the history of Palestine, which shall quote at the hand. So how did the Zionist infiltrations into the Arabic Muslim Palestine start? Dear friend, thanks for watching and listening.